ahead and move it back to the East Coast for a second. We nicely were just hearing from Professor Gray about some of the similarities for the dynamics that we're seeing right now, and the dynamics we've seen in the recurrent fights that we've had regarding hitting the debt ceiling, including 2011. So you wrote this morning about the fact that the things are actually very different in a whole variety of ways. And I would say, actually, Professor Helton, your work has helped to shift those dynamics. So I wonder if you could each speak to the differences that complement the similarities or just coming out.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, it really is striking, like superficially, some similarities between 2023 and 2011 or 2011. And this idea is like, oh, it's going to come down to the last second. And if you read like Wall Street research reports on what's going to happen, like, oh, it's going to be brinkmanship, and then they always hike the debt ceiling at the last second. Maybe there'll be a little market volatility. And I don't think that's like necessarily like a terrible guess as to how it's going to happen. That strikes me as like very plausible. But the interesting thing to me in 2023 is how different it is like, okay, when the Tea Party had their big victory in 2010, and I think like the mainstream was like always like pretty like skeptical of the Tea Party, et cetera. That being said, there was a climate of like, yeah, but they do kind of have a point. It really is too high. We really do have to like rein in our spending. It really is scary. By 2011, somewhere in 2011, Greece, was already like a year and a half into the crisis, which started in late 2009 for them. There was the Reinhardt-Rogoff 90% debt to GDP. That was very popular before that statistic was basically debunked. There was Simpson-Bowles, which Obama unilaterally set up that commission about reforming entitlements. There was the pay freeze. Obama unilaterally froze federal pay for 2 years, basically citing, we need to get the deficit under control. That just is gone. And again, as you mentioned, I think Stephanie's work and others are part of the reason for that. But, there are still people who are concerned about spending and long-term spending, et cetera, and whatever, that's fine. But the climate is just like so changed in terms of 12 years, in terms of this political salience of spending. This most recent election was not about spending, which is weird because we are in a period of high inflation. And so you think, okay, wait, shouldn't now be the time we have like an actual conversation about spending or not? And so my guess is well, maybe it's not going to play out like 2011. Maybe we'll go over the debt ceiling. Maybe it'll get resolved next week. But the environment is very different from 2011. And so just thinking about how this plays out, I would not be so sure that that's the playbook to look at.